Michael, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Awesome. Thank you so much, bro. I appreciate
No
you coming
problem.
on. This is real exciting for us.
Nice.
Congrats on the big W, man.
Yeah,
Crazy,
it's cool.
crazy. What a time. Where are you right now?
I'm in Daytona, actually. Yeah. Yeah. We
Okay.
got the qualifying races tonight. So just hanging out in the RV here, getting ready.
Sweet. All right. So we're live from the RV with Michael McDowell on ESNY. Um, now you walk around. You must walk around Daytona a little differently than you have for the past 36 years of your life now.
Yeah, a little pep in my step coming back to Daytona as a reigning champion. It's been a fun couple weeks, just all the media leading into the 500, then being here at the 500. It's definitely a special place. Daytona, it's just got so much history, and it's the biggest race of our sport of NASCAR. Daytona 500 is where it's at. We kick off the season with the big race, and it's nice walking in here as the current Daytona 500 champion.
And tell me about that's really cool, man. Just to be able to say that, I'm sure it's still kind of crazy to think about, right? That you get to still say that sort of stuff. I know you're also working with Celcius, and I actually happen to be popping Celcius this morning myself.
There you go. What you got there? Great. I like it.
Grape Rush. Tell me, especially when it comes to like working with a brand like Celcius, which has all great like nutritional values and things of that nature. Just try to transition here into how it would work in a race of a magnitude of 500 laps. Is just it takes forever. You need mental fortitude, you need physical toughness, you need to focus, you need all those things. In your opinion, what is, can you list out maybe the top three of those traits that in what order you value them and you think they're important?
Yeah, so kind of on both, like you were talking about, the number one thing I think in all sports, in motorsports, NASCAR included, is your mental game, right? So mental preparation, focus, being able to concentrate at a high level. You're 200 miles an hour, inches apart, wheel to wheel. You have to make, very calculated split decision moves, and you got to be laser sharp to do that, right? And so mental focus, mental clarity is a big part of that.
What do you do the night before? Night before a big race, what do you go to sleep really early?
Yeah, I don't miss out on sleep, that's for sure. So but it's all the preparation, so mental is the number one category, right? But what helps the mental is your physical, right? When you're feeling good, when you feel good mentally, you're good, you're strong, right? And so feeling good, taking care of your body, making sure you're fueled, making sure that you have all the things that you need to be prepared in to have that focus. So that's where Celcius plays into my life. It's, I partnered with Celcius, over the last couple of years, but I was a customer for 10 years. And for me, more than anything it's clean energy, right? There's a lot of energy drinks out there and they got a lot of bad stuff in them. And if I'm going to be at the top of my sport and the top of my game, I want to make sure whatever I'm putting in my body is helpful and not harmful. And so that's where Celcius really comes into play, because for me, having a brand and having a partner is important, but more importantly than that is making sure I'm putting the right stuff into my body that gives me that mental clarity, that gives me that focus, that gives me the energy, that helps me recover quicker, helps me work out better during the week. So it's more to it than just, what would be the average thoughts of, how do you go about these kind of preparation for it?
What is speaking of that, what does your workouts look like? I mean, NASCAR guys, I don't think the first thing that pops in your head is like getting in the gym and like, clanging iron, but are you in there? Like, what does your workouts look like?
Yeah, so you're right, because in motorsports, you want to be light, right? You don't want to be heavy. And so, I don't need to bench press 350 pounds to drive the race car, but I got to withstand, 4.5 hours of super high intensity and also high heat. It's 130, 140 degrees in our car. So that's where the mental toughness comes in too. Like when it's hot, your body will give out, but the first thing that goes is your mind. And so you got to do a lot of training for that, a lot of heat training, a lot of high pressure situation training. So during the week, I do a lot of more like fast pace, like boot camp style, 45 minutes, hour, high intensity workout to workout to workout. But with speed and agility mixed in there so that you have that focus element, right? When you're tired and you're at your limit and you're maxed out, it's hard to get, ladder steps in and get your feet and your coordination right, and Heisman's and doing all those things that you have to consciously think about what you're doing while you're dying. So it's a lot of high intensity with mental focus and speed and agility mixed in there. And then, I do a lot of cardio. Obviously our sports predominantly cardio. So, bike, running, those types of things. I usually do that 2 or 3 days a week, and then 2 or 3 days a week do high intensity interval training.
I think that's really interesting to me to get to know that, because you see it in all sports, like, for instance, like Tiger Woods, he kind of brought that physical fitness aspect to golf, where people thought golfers were always not the most fit, guys. And just to think, about all the stuff you just mentioned, it makes a lot of sense, and to be at the top of your game, you're going to need to check all those boxes, right? And let's go briefly. I know we don't have a long time with Michael McDowell, Daytona 500 winner. Let's go to a question I have for you about your journey, a little bit about the journey of your personal journey, because it's completely non-traditional journey of getting into, all the different types of circuits and racing you did throughout your life. Does everything prepare you for the next step from, like, BMX, karting, open wheel, all those things along the way? How have those different racing, I guess, industries or verticals got you to where you are?
Yeah. I mean, I think that the my journey is pretty unique as far as my path goes, like you said. So if I could have saw the end goal of NASCAR being the end goal, there would be things that I would have done differently through that path. But that wasn't the path that I was on. The path that I was on was open wheel and IndyCar. Yeah. And so I was on a different journey. And then, as I got close to reaching that goal, sort of sidestepped and came over here to NASCAR. So, I do feel pretty well-rounded in the regards to a lot of different disciplines of racing. But if I knew, 36 years ago that I'd end up here, I would have done things a little bit differently. I'd have done more circle track, more dirt track, more things like that. Because it relates a little bit more to our cars and to have more diversity. But you don't get to choose your path all the time. Right. And I think that that's the important part of it, is that, like, you do learn every step, and you do, gain a lot of knowledge and experience with all the different types of, situations you put yourself in. And that helps you grow, as an athlete, as a driver, but also too, just as a person and your character and, trials and perseverance and grinding it out and working hard and all those things. That applies to anything. It doesn't matter if you're sitting at a desk or you're at a high level of, professional sport. The work ethic, the character, the grind is really important. So I wouldn't change my journey. It's made me who I am. But if I could see the future, I would change some paths for sure.
Interesting. Well, you seem like a super focused dude, man. I don't know if that's the Celcius talking or if it's,
it is the Celcius for sure.
The great brush talking. But that's fantastic. And I think that, a lot of our audience is going to appreciate hearing that from you, like the younger kids and anyone that's, looks up to athletes of all different types. It's important to keep that, that perspective on things when you don't think you're in the right journey, or you're a little kind of not sure about yourself or your journey in life, to keep that perspective and keep your mind, body, and soul correct. So I'm gonna let you go in a second. My last spitfire, real quick question. Real quick, kind of some of your inspirations or your heroes within racing throughout the years, and drop some names for me if you can. And then maybe also if you ever met someone that kind of blew your mind because you finally got to meet them.
Yeah. So growing up with a little bit, like I said, different background of racing, my first hero, my first guy that I watched was Mario Andretti. And then beyond that, when I got in my teenage years, it was Michael Schumacher in the Formula One scene. And what I admired about him is that he won in cars and teams that people didn't think he could win in. And so he always elevated the people around him. And so he, at the end of his career, he was in great equipment, but he also elevated every program he was around. And I think the great athletes do that. They elevate all those people around them.
Amazing. Yeah. It's like the LeBron of racing.
Yeah. And so as far as for me, like I grew up watching a lot of the guys that I got to race against. So it's pretty cool. Like I was actually thinking about it this morning, is like, because I'm getting older and I'm entering my 15th or 16th year in a Cup Series. And like when I go through it, man, I've raced with a lot of generations, if that makes sense. Like I raced with, Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon and those guys that are retired now, right? And Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Burton and Matt Kenseth and Carl Edwards. And I'm like, I'm going to tell my kids and, my grandkids in 30 or 40 years, like, oh yeah, I raced with all those generations. You know what I mean? So it's pretty cool.
Crazy names, man. That is really cool. Well, hey, listen, you're 30, you got a long way to go, man. You're a young man still. I wish you all the best. Have fun this weekend, man. Appreciate you coming on with us. And we're going to clip this up, and I'm going to be sharing this because this has been a thrill of mine just to talk to you as well. Get a real Daytona 500 winner out there. And be good, man. Just keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate it.